We're getting a new look at precious prehistoric artifacts right in the middle of downtown Miami.
Archaeologists say the artifacts were unearthed during recent development and date back up to 8,000 years. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live in downtown to show us.
Archaeologists, they are history's detectives, and right now crews of them are hard at work. They are sifting through history, uncovering artifacts that are beginning to tell the story of a civilization that lived here in Miami thousands of years ago. Nestled within Brickell's modern high-rises,
broken pieces of pottery, arrowheads.
On the south bank of the Miami River,
There's remains of giant sea turtles, an extinct kind of seal, West Indian monk seal.
One of the city's most significant archaeological digs is underway at what this archaeological assessment report calls the 444 Brickell Avenue parcel. Take a look. In this video shot by Local 10 digital journalist Chris Goffner, you can see crews water screening soil, finding and organizing artifacts being sorted on site.
The site that actually stretches back to 5, 6, 7,000 years ago.
You heard that right. We are talking well-preserved prehistoric artifacts, explains archaeologist William Pestle, who has visited the site.
Older than the pyramids, it's older than the Colosseum in Rome.
Miami's long had a knock for being too young to have a history. The reality is, humans have lived in the greater Miami area for more than 10,000 years.
Nearby the famous Miami Circle, its discovery and education about one of Florida's early peoples, the Tequesta. Here's Miami historian Dr. Paul George.
And the area around the Miami River on both banks is probably the richest area in terms of archaeological fossils and artifacts.
In a statement, a spokesperson for the property owner told Local 10 News it is their view that the findings do not require preservation on the site, but said artifacts will be preserved off-site and ultimately donated to a museum or university for further research and study. Pestle believes the city of Miami has an enormous responsibility, an opportunity, to safeguard what he says is a treasure trove of data.
An important story about the history and the origins of the city that we call Miami.
And get this, one thing he also said makes this particular parcel so remarkable is that because of the distinct properties of the water table here, of the bedrock here, they are actually, as they are drilling down, beginning to find organic material completely preserved. We're talking about things like wood and baskets. He says normally that just doesn't happen in South Florida. There will be a related Historic and Environmental Preservation Board meeting at the city of Miami coming up in April about this parcel. Reporting live for you, I'm Christina Vasquez.
This multi-use building on the site, right, they first of all had to remove a pre-existing structure. And it was well known in the archaeological community that beneath that building there was likely to be some kind of archaeological material. How much, we didn't know until that building was removed. It very quickly became clear that the depth and the horizontal extent and the significance of the archaeological site there was more. To put that in context, this site is older than the pyramids in Egypt. The site is older, or as old, as some of the very first cities ever built in Mesopotamia. And yet, very little is known, comparatively, about these people who built this site, who lived there hundreds and thousands of years ago, precisely because there hasn't been enough systematic scientific archaeological work done at the site. One of the tensions throughout this project has been between the developer, who's been constantly pushing, right, to begin construction, and the archaeologists who've been necessarily moving slowly. And we can have the discussion about whether or not this work should have ever happened. As an archaeologist, I feel like this site should have been preserved. But given that the developer is allowed to do this legally, right, I think it is incumbent upon them, it is their responsibility as corporate citizens in Miami to make sure that while they are realizing profit, while they are building this building, they are also preserving as much of this site and as much of this information for the future as possible.
It's absolutely about money. If that was, somewhere that was not worth that much money, I think the city would honor it. But when you're talking maybe for them to buy it back at like $200 million, they're just not going to do it. But so then it comes again that you have to find the common solution or something that appeases both, because you're ignoring the history of the city. You have presidents literally across the street from it where the developer said, okay, we're going to designate this part, we're going to show our respects, And over here, it's just business as usual. I guarantee you, if you were to ask people, say like the Icon, 500, or anyone just around this area, like, what's happening next door? People would be like, oh, they're just building a background hotel. It would be a very small portion of the people in Miami that knew what was going on.
The dig site is the remains of the Tequesta capital that was at the mouth of the Miami River. And the Tequesta lived along the mouth of the Miami River where it meets Biscayne Bay for thousands of years, well before they were probably even known as the Tequesta, but we do know that name was used by the people who lived there when the Spanish arrived in the 16th century. There's only a couple of historical mentions of the Tequesta, so from those we know a tiny little bit about the people. So archaeology has filled in all the other gaps. And unfortunately, because Miami has been built up so much and so early in the history of Florida, we don't really have that much evidence of the Tequesta. Today, the excavation that's going on in downtown is of the capital where most Tequesta people lived, where they traded, where they had ritual and ceremony, where they met visitors from other regions. So it's really our only record of that part of Tequesta life. So the materials that are excavated, they're obliged to save, but they are not necessarily obliged to do analysis on. By law, they have to recover the materials and produce a very preliminary report of what they found, how many boxes of this, how much of that. But the kind of study that archaeologists do now, where we emphasize squeezing every last bit of data out of the pottery sherds and bones that we find, may or may not happen because it's not actually obliged. If Related wants to do the right thing and actually help the community learn about the settlement of Tequesta, they'll partner with archaeologists to do that kind of work.
My real fear here is that over the past several decades, bits and pieces of this bigger Granada site that sat at the mouth of the Miami River, or the Tequesta site, have been lost to development. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. And at some point, there won't be anything left. We are rapidly approaching our final opportunities to systematically recover and then study materials that documented the lives of these people that lived there centuries and millennia ago.
Site. Protesters speaking out after artifacts were found on the site of a Brickell high-rise build. 7's Sheldon Fox has those details.
Late into Tuesday night, this crowd was still at City Hall, all over what to do with a pair of Brickell properties. 1,000-year-old Indian artifacts found at a site planned for major development inspired big turnout and passion.
It's the ethical, moral, right, and just thing to do. Let them stay buried and in peace.
The first steps in a very complicated procedural process that have taken place.
Miami's Historic Preservation Office watched presentations and listened to public comment regarding archaeological teams recently discovering what experts call prehistoric indigenous artifacts, said to be thousands of years old, at the site of 444 Brickell Ave and another site on Southeast 5th Street.
The archaeological layers of conservation are on that site, which very much limit the actions that the developer can take.
Yes. Mr. Jordan Trachtenberg?
Yes.
Tuesday night, it was determined more time was needed before any project halting designation review could be announced.
This isn't the America that I want to live in, as far as where money can come up and just dig up graves.
After the hearing, we spoke to Related Group boss and mega developer George Perez.
I think people express, their opinions and their desires.
When is the dignity given to Native people? When is respect given to Native people?
What about some of these Native American people who are in here today saying this is essentially going to a grave site and ripping it apart?
You have to remember that the site is not a vacant site. Let the search finish, and then we're going to come with an action plan. We're trying to...
It's finally done. The city has decided how to move forward after ancient artifacts were found during construction of the luxury condos.
NBC6's Heather Walker is live in Brickell breaking down this decision. Heather, what happened?
Well, the city decided to move forward with 2 of the 3 towers, saying that those 2 can be built. This is the site that we're talking about.
When ground broke on the Baccarat luxury condos, thousands of ancient artifacts were found, which put a stop to construction and caused the Miami Historic and Environmental Preservation Board to get involved.
The entire Native American community should be actually feeling fortunate and thankful that an organization such as Related, that not only has the experience but the means to actually do what's right and follow the proper procedures in taking care of the artifacts that have been found. It's got to stop.
A passionate discussion for more than 5 hours. People speaking in opposition of a historic designation and in support.
When is respect given to Native people? Would you do this to a Cuban cemetery in Miami? Name one. Would you do it to a Jewish cemetery in Miami? Name one. Would you do it to a Muslim cemetery in Miami? Name one. I can name 10 Native cemeteries this has happened to.
For people to think, when our site...
Billionaire developer George Perez is behind the project and promised to do whatever it takes to get the condos built, which are already more than 90% sold.
But what we've had with investors, with bankers, with everything that is looking to us. So we want to find a solution that is as quick as possible.
In the end, the city decided to allow 2 of the 3 Baccarat towers to be built as planned. The area that's now vacant will proceed with the high-rise condos. The artifacts found on site will be preserved, while the land to the east, which is currently occupied by offices, will be designated historic. What that means for that site moving forward will be determined later.
Now back out here live, we want to give you a look at the site that we're talking about. This is along the Miami River. This is the south bank that you're looking at. So that vacant spot where you can see there's some work being done on excavation, that is the site where the towers will go and be built. The site to the east of that, just west of the Brickell Bridge, that's what's going to be determined about the fate of that location. And just to be clear, this decision does not affect anyone who has purchased these condos, because they've only sold the 2 towers that are going to move forward with being built. In the meantime, what happens to the artifacts still being determined. We'll keep you posted. Reporting live in Miami, Heather Walker.
Well, everybody, thank you for taking the time to watching those little segments I had to put all together. But as you can all see, it's just business as usual. Even if we have dated artifacts dating back to 7000 BCE, when it comes to the pottery, they found bones, found different artifacts dating so much back, but yet they voted, as you just saw, that 2 out of the 3 will continue with their construction. And then it's just crazy, people, that we're not gonna, that money is more important than it comes to our ancestors and actually learning from them and seeing how life was for them during this time and era. And as you see, we barely have information on them, and now we got somewhat of information due to all these artifacts. But as I said, money rules all here, as you can see. But I do want to commend some of the archaeologists that actually stuck their necks and went out here, and people that protested. So yeah, so that's the results we'll see on the last one, and I will be keeping an update on that. And you know, I had to go out there myself. So being born Florida, I love you, Florida, hold a special part of my heart. I had to go out here to Miami to see this place for myself. So here's a little clip from that. But anywho, I thank you all for watching this video, and I will be keeping a close look onto this. So other than that, this is just a little clip of me being there, a little visit, and that's about it. Cheers, y'all. And before I let you all go, pay attention to the numerology and the placements of all these that are found. Just saying, there's something interesting going on. 444. What value does that equate to? But just saying, there's something up with these sites and their location. There's more to meet the eye. Just want to give you a quick shaman. But yeah, enjoy some of the photos. And then you should actually research the people that were involved in some of these statues. Just giving you guys a hint. Enjoy. So here is the famous pole. Right here, you're gonna get a close in right here. Give you guys better of a visual. Yeah, 1995. Crazy, I know. I'm gonna look them up when I get home. That's the artist though. Crazy.
The work on this is amazing.
So just like I told you guys, we're here. Saying, so this is the site where they found the additional artifacts. Let me zoom in for you guys real quick. Right there, right in the middle. They found it all out, as you can see here. So the hidden tables right here, man. This is crazy, man, but I'm not too updated with the viewing, understands what they're gonna do, but we shall see. But yes, this is where they found Indian artifacts dating, quote, older than the pyramid. So you can find out this is very interesting. Miami, so I had to come here. So just wanted to say, I'm always on the board, man. I'm always gonna be here doing it at ground zero. You see behind me, we're here. So we'll see what they have to, let's see what they do and what they say. Yeah, it's right there behind me. Crazy. I'm telling you, man, we're finding things every day. But yeah, so just adding it to the video though. Not a lot of people even know about this area. That's the even bad part. What other stuff is hiding from us? Alright, checking out.